Good morning and welcome to the Business Update segment. I am Clement Yabankwe. Into our stories for today, the Ghana Statistical Service reports that producer price inflation rose to 33.0% in October 2024, up from 30.5% in September, reflecting a 2.5 percentage point increase month on month. The PPI climbed by 3.0% between September and October. The PPI tracks changes in the average selling prices of goods and services received by domestic producers over time. In the industrial sector, excluding construction, inflation increased from 43.3% in September to 48.8% in October. The construction sector also recorded a rise, reaching 31.5% in October. Among all sectors, the mining and quarrying sector recorded the highest inflation rate at 54.3%, while the water supply, sewage and waste management sector had the lowest rate at 4.1%, though still below the national average of 33.0%. On this very story, we'll be speaking with an economist in the person of Dr. Joseph Ntwi-Bafie, a senior lecturer of Akintono Appiah Menka University of Skill Training and Entrepreneur Development, also Department of Economics. We are going to discuss the producer price inflation increase as in the month of October and the growing economic concern. We are going to look at, is it really going to affect prices in the market? Is it really going to affect an ordinary Ghanaian? Or how does this really mean to viewers watching us this morning? Doing this with me is Dr. Joseph Ntwi-Bafie, who is currently on the line. We'll be switching to have a talk with him. And I believe you are going to understand why producer price inflation is very necessary and you need to understand it for your up-to-date businesses. Hello, good morning, Doug.
Yeah, good morning.
Doug, please, you are welcome to Clock TV Business Update segment.
Thank you very much. Good morning to our listeners as well.
Good morning. Doug, we are grateful having you again today too. And today's conversation promising to be very, very educative because our producer price inflation has increased by 2.5 percentage points, and a lot of people are raising concern that is it really going to affect prices of goods and services, especially going to the festive season. But Doug, before we get into the conversation, what at all is producer price inflation?
Thank you very much. Basically, producer price inflation is the persistent increase in the, for want of a better word, the costs of production. Individuals or producers uses resources to produce their goods and services. And these resources, comes with a value. They are not free. Resources like land, labor, capital comes with a certain value, and they have to pay for those resources used in production.
Okay.
So when the price of those resources persistently increase, then it is going to impact on their final goods they produce, because they also have to compensate themselves for the time and energy they spend in producing. So after they take care of the costs, then they have to add the margin, the compensation we call profit. So anytime the cost increases and the compensation is likely to also increase, because when they compensate themselves, they also have to go and use that same compensation to buy goods and services from other producers who might have also increased their prices. So basically, it is when the producer feels that or feels the impact of increased price of resources and transfers that increase in price of resources into his pricing.
Okay.
Then we call that the producer price inflation. I mean, this is a very simple layman's explanation of the concept.
Okay,
But
Doc.
it is on domestically produced goods.
Okay.
Not imported goods.
Okay.
So we are talking about the production prices of domestically produced goods and services and not imported goods.
Okay, Doc. Thank you for that insight. But Doc, why should an ordinary Ghanaian, those watching and those out there, should we be so much concerned about the current rise in producer price inflation?
Definitely. Why not? Because when producers' prices or producers' cost of production increases, they are going to transfer that cost to the consumer.
Okay.
And let me remind you that we have taken away transportation costs, taxes, and some other that directly impacts prices. It's just the cost of resources. So it is the cost of resources, the compensation that accrues to the producer or the entrepreneur, and other additional costs like transportation costs, like taxes, and all those things.
Okay, Doc.
Putting them together.
Okay.
So when the producer price inflation increases, it means that all these items impact the price of goods and services that is given to the consumer. Of course, we need to be alarmed, even though the increase is marginal. It's still a cause for concern.
Okay. Okay, but Doug, you made mention that there are lots of factors that constitute to the rise in the producer prices, especially the raw materials that they use in production and all other factors. Will you also say that the current rise in utility bills like the electricity is also one factor that has pushed the price to gone up?
They are all resources that are used in production. So when utility bill rises, when fuel increases, price of fuel increases, gas increases, they will all impact on the cost of production. And once it impacts on the cost of production and the producer cost of production increases over time, then that will definitely affect the producer prices. So the producer, because the producer have the mindset of always getting profit or earning some sort of compensation, he will always factor the cost before the energy he uses and time he uses in production. So when the cost increases, the compensation may also increase and the producer price increase. So we are talking about domestic, local cost of production. And so anything that drives up the local cost of production will definitely affect the producer prices.
That's going to affect the cost of goods and services in the market too, since producer price has gone up.
Come again, repeat your question. I think I lost you along the line.
So, Doug, will this going to affect the price of goods and services in the market, since the cost of production for producers has already gone up?
Sometimes, if the increase in cost of production is marginal, the producer can decide to absorb it without transferring the cost. And it's normal. A typical example is when fuel price increases marginally, you don't find that commercial drivers are quickly increasing, because sometimes the increase is just about 2 pesos, 5 pesos, and so they feel they can absorb it. They don't have to transfer it.
Okay.
So if the increase in producer price inflation is marginal and producers feel they can absorb, it may not necessarily translate into the price of goods and services. But if the marginal increase becomes persistent over time, then at a point, they may transfer. I have not been able to track the increase in producer price inflation from January. But if the increase is persistent from January up until now, then it is likely to influence prices. But the increase doesn't really happen. I mean, it only happened a month or 2 months back. It may not really affect prices of goods and services. So it depends on the dynamics for a period of time or the rate of increase.
Okay, Doug. So, Doug, let's assume the rate of increases are very high, whereby producers have no other option than to transfer it to consumers, that is affecting consumer price inflation. In situations like this, what advice will you give to businesses in order for them to absorb such increase in order not to transfer it to consumers, since we are already in the festive season?
It is very difficult. You see, the point is that it is difficult to plan in an economy like ours. You could plan big sessions, but some of the planning is just eroded by external factors. But regardless, if in a situation where the producer price inflation is very high, that producers are not able to absorb the cost of production, then of course they would have to transfer. They will have to transfer the cost to the consumer, and that will cause prices to increase. The producer can find a way and manage this cost, because you see, the producer has to be in business. The producer has to pay the compensation to be able to have that enthusiasm to go to work the following morning. But price increase of every producer is not something desirable. Producers don't desire to get increasing prices because they know that it affects sales. They know that it affects their company's performance. But in situations where they have no option, then they should look at increasing the prices reasonably. Increasing the prices that will not take a toll on the consumer and that will not affect their business. So the ratio advice is that the price increase should be reasonable. Very, very reasonable. And sometimes you have to take the time to explain to the consumer the reason why you may have to increase prices, for the consumer to accept the conditions or the fact that, okay, we understand prices should increase. And that should be managed properly. Because if you don't manage it properly and the consumer has alternatives, that is where you begin to have problems in your business. When you switch to the alternative, sales will drop and you have a problem. So to be able to keep to your consumers, you need to have a technique, a very good communication style of communicating to the consumers and letting them be aware of all the circumstances regarding the increase in prices. But in events where the producer feels he can absorb and the compensation may drop a little, why not? The producer should just absorb, just so that it will ease the consumer just a little pressure to be able to manage himself or herself.
Okay, Doug, thank you very much for the submission. Let's assume that, yes, consumers or producers are unable to absorb such increase and they pass it on to consumers. What can families do to prepare for such possible increment in prices, especially we enter into the festive season?
Listen, my brother, you see, it's simple. Prices of goods and services will never drop.
Okay.
I have never seen price of goods and services in Ghana dropping. General price of goods and services dropping. But families can always plan expenditure.
Okay.
I was driving with somebody at a new site, and we saw a lot of buildings coming up. And person's comment was that we say Ghana is hard, but people are putting up buildings. Even if cement prices increases to 1,000 Ghana cedis, people will still put up buildings. I said you are right. It comes down to planning. In an inflationary economy, how to survive is the very good planning expenditure. You need to plan your expenditure. You need to budget what to buy, what not to buy. You've got to identify the difference between your needs and your wants. Go after your needs and leave your wants some other time. If you mix it up, you'll be confused. You may not be able to even put up any property for yourself. So it is important that families getting towards this Christmas season plan their expenditure. Because you see, the point is that even after Christmas season in January, schools are reopening, you have to go and pay school fees. And so if you don't start planning from now, right, you have to start writing what activities you may want to get engaged in, what activities you may not want to engage in, how you want to spend, which party you want to throw, where to go, where not to go. If you don't start planning, and as a father, you don't tell the family that this is how we are going to spend the Christmas based on the available funds to you, you end up in January being in trouble, and you may not be able to do anything, not just in January. Even from January, February, March, April, May, through to December, you may not be able to do any tangible project that will progress your family. So in an inflationary economy, the best way to go around your expenditure is to plan. Make sure you plan your expenditure, and at least for 90%, stick to the planned expenditure. If you do that, even though times are a little bit hard, you may survive. If you did not do that, you have to go around borrowing from your friends.
Okay, Doug, thank you so much for such wonderful submission. But Doug, before you go, your last word to viewers.
My last word to viewers is that, and I want to speak to the youth. Do not let anybody use you as a tool for violence during this election. Okay. They tell you to go and cause mayhem. Tell them that they should go and use their sons and daughters. If they tell you to go and stuff a ballot box, tell them that they should call their sons and daughters to go and stuff a ballot box. Because you see, if you stuff a ballot box and you are caught, you are either lynched by the crowd or sent to the police station. Okay. And somebody, I have not forgotten his name, said that in politics either you are being used or you are used. Either you are the one who is being used or you are the one using somebody. If you can't find a person who is being used, then it's you. I want the youth to be very, very careful. Go and cast your votes according to all the campaign messages you have heard and the one you feel convinced. Cast your votes. When you finish, go home. There's no need to go out a day or two after the election when you don't have anything to do outside. I would prefer that you stay in your home, watch TV, and live a peaceful life. If you want to go out there and cause mayhem, you be in the police station or at the hospital. And I'm not sure you may want to find yourself in that situation. The politician, at the end of the day, will be enjoying his ministerial appointment, and you will be at the police station. That person will even forget about you.
Yeah.
Let us be very, very sensible in our approach towards this election. And during Christmas, let us be also extremely careful. There are so many deaths we can avoid just by being extra careful.
Okay.
And as a vice dean of students at Hampstead, I have seen so many of these things. Students will die at a very young age. And you notice that, if you listen to the story, you notice that just one step of being careful would have avoided the death. The youth, please be very careful during the election during Christmas. Your life is very valuable for Ghana, and we need you to stay alive. So I think that's what I have for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Doug. We are so grateful having you. It's always exciting moments with you since you bring us the deep analysis on some of the economic happenings in the country.
Thank you to you. You're welcome, my brother.
Okay, Doug. So that's Dr. Joseph Ntribefi, who gave us in-depth analysis on producer price inflation and how you should plan your festive season. That is coming December. Even as we are going to vote on 7th December, after that, you need to have so much fun in December. So please, you need to plan as well. I want to use this opportunity to wish my lovely boy, Nana Kojo Nkatia, happy, glorious birthday from mommy and daddy. They said, happy, glorious birthday to you, Nana Kojo Nkatia. We love you so much and we wish you all the best. This is all we have for you on Business Update segment. I'm Clement Siabankwe. Do enjoy the rest of the show.